Hello and welcome. My name is Miki and this is Compendium Trivia, your one-stop shop for fascinating facts from the world of history and geography. Do you love pub quizzes and late-night map explorations? Then you are in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, follow us on social media, and enjoy the show. The country of Malaysia has one of the most unique monarchies in the world. Every 5 years, their king is elected by 9 noble sultans who choose a ruler from among themselves. This one-of-a-kind procedure reminds me of the voting system in the Big Brother reality show, just a bit more classy and with a royal flair. Today, we talk about the fascinating world of Malaysian kings and the wild controversies that surrounded some of them. I guarantee that you will be pretty shocked at the end of this episode. Let's dive in. The reason why Malaysia has such a unique system in place is actually quite simple. Before the creation of the modern-day Malaysia state, this region was a mosaic of small independent kingdoms. And some of these kingdoms, they still exist today, but now they are united under the one flag, forming the Malaysian Federation. And to maintain balance among these kingdoms, this system of rotating monarchy was introduced. Basically, the idea behind it was that no single ruler would gain permanent control over the others. Sounds fair, right? Okay, so now let's see how it works in practice. There are 9 kingdoms within the Federation of Malaysia: Negeri Sembilan, Selangor, Perlis, Terengganu, Kedah, Kelantan, Pahang, Johor, and Perak. I don't know about you, but to me all of those names sound super cool. So, 7 of these kingdoms are ruled by the Sultan, apart from Perlis, which is ruled by the leader called Raja. And this is actually a very interesting naming convention because it reflects the diverse cultural influences that have shaped Malaysia over the centuries. That's because the title Sultan comes from the Islamic tradition, while Raja has its roots in the Indian culture. So it's a great example of how these two cultures have blended together in Malaysia, which is really a fascinating topic. On top of that, the ruler of Negeri Sembilan state is neither Sultan nor Raja, but he has his own unique Malaysian title, Yang di Pertuan Besar. You just gotta love this name. So all of those 9 leaders, they create together a conference of rulers, which elects a king from among them. And each king is elected for the fixed period of 5 years. And once the term ends, the conference of rulers meet again, and they elect the next king for the next 5 years. The most important rule of this whole system is that it follows a rotation, meaning that once a state has provided a king, it cannot do so again until all the other states had their turn. So, for example, if the Sultan of Johor becomes a king, he can't take the throne again until all other states had the rulers elected as a king of Malaysia. In theory, this means that each state can provide a king once every 40 years, and the full cycle takes 45 years. After that, the cycle resets, and once again, rulers of all 9 states can be elected to become the next king of Malaysia. So far, Malaysia had 17 kings, 17, meaning that each state has provided 2 kings, except for Perak, which had only 1 king so far. And this means that the next king must come from the Perak state. Therefore, the next time the Conference of Rulers votes, it will be a pure formality, as the result is already known. The winner will be the Sultan of Perak. So, what do you think about this election system? In my opinion, it's a fair and elegant solution, but not without its controversies. More on that later. Before that, let's mention that all 9 monarchies that create the Conference of Rulers, they have their own succession systems. 8 of them follow the, let's say, classic model, where the oldest son becomes the next sultan. Because yes, sorry ladies, but unfortunately, so far Malaysia doesn't allow female rulers at any level. But then there is Negeri Sembilan. You know, that one state where the ruler has that special title different than sultan. Turns out that this state has its own unique election system. It looks like this state really wants to be different in everything they do. So, instead of a succession model with the oldest son, in Negeri Sembilan, the monarchy is elective. There are 4 minor chiefs in the state called undangs who choose the next ruler from the royal family members. And just to make things even more complicated, the undangs themselves are also elected through their own separate systems. But let's not go too deep into that rabbit hole because it's starting to feel like we are in an Inception movie with one election system nested inside another and so on. It's just becoming too much at this point. Before we move on to everyone's favorite part, royal scandals and dramas, let's take a quick look at the powers of the King of Malaysia. If you expected Malaysia's ruler to be some kind of a despotic jungle king, a la Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now movie, you may be a bit disappointed. He's a classic constitutional monarch, which means that his powers are fairly limited. He's a head of state. He appoints a prime minister from the party that won elections. He is also the commander-in-chief of the Malaysian army and also the head of Islam religion, but only in his home state and these Malaysian states that do not have their own monarchy. Because yes, this is something that we didn't mention yet. Remember how I said that the king is elected by the rulers of the 9 states? This is all true, but Malaysia Federation consists of more than just those 9 states. There are also 4 other states, Sarawak, Sabah, Malacca, and Penang, which do not have their own monarchies. And that means that they don't have a sultan or a raja who could vote in the Conference of Rulers. They have only governors who are appointed by the king. And these governors, they participate in the meetings of the Conference of Rulers, but they have no voting rights there and they cannot be elected as a king. They are basically there just as observers. And this is quite controversial and something that these states were not happy about and repeatedly protested against. But so far, no changes have been made and the system is as it is. On top of that, Malaysia has also 3 federal territories, not states, but territories. And these are Labuan, which is like an offshore financial center, Kuala Lumpur, the national capital, and Putrajaya, the federal administrative capital. Because yes, Malaysia has 2 capital cities, another cool and lesser known fact. So these territories are directly governed by the federal government and they have no representation in the Conference of Rulers whatsoever, not as voters nor even as observers. But this is more understandable because of their special status of those territories, and this is widely accepted. All right, now we are getting to everyone's favorite part, the royal controversies. So if you enjoy following news about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's snowflake dramas, get ready because this might be the most entertaining chapter of this episode for you. You will be really surprised in what kind of shit the Malaysian kings have been involved. Compared to their British counterparts, honestly, it's on a whole other level. So let's start with the Sultan Muhammad V. He married, in secret, the Russian beauty queen Oksana Voevodina, who was a Miss Moscow in 2015. And what was truly scandalous about it was the fact that she had previously appeared on a Russian reality show where she was caught on camera having sex with at least 2 different guys, including one quickie in a pool while sipping on champagne. You can imagine how embarrassing that would be for any king's wife, but even more so in Malaysia, which is mostly Islamic and quite conservative country. So when the news about Oksana came out, the public backlash was so bad that Muhammad was forced to abdicate after serving only 2 years out of his 5 year term. And this made him the first and so far the only Malaysian king who stepped down. But this is nothing. Wait until you hear about the current king, Sultan Ibrahim Iskandar. So, back in the 80s, when he was still a prince, he reportedly shot a man dead outside a nightclub. Yes. But the case was swept under the rug and he was never convicted, like nothing happened. Then, in 2005, he and his mates, they crashed a wedding party and caused a massive brawl that left several people hospitalized and arrested. But once again, the whole incident was covered up and Ibrahim walked away a free man. So Ibrahim is wild, but listen about his father Mahmud, who ruled in the 80s and was even more nuts. So Mahmud was officially convicted of shooting a man dead near his private helicopter. And he supposedly did this because he mistook the guy for a smuggler. Well, whatever the story was, honestly, it sounds a bit far-fetched to me. And he also never faced real consequence because he was granted a royal pardon. But it gets even worse. In another case, Mahmud was further accused of causing the death of a golf boy who apparently laughed when the Sultan missed a shot. And he reportedly beat the poor guy to death with the golf club. But since he was a serving king at that time, he couldn't be prosecuted due to the royal immunity. So again, he got away with it. This is really just some crazy shit. In another notable example of his misbehavior, but on a slightly lighter note this time, Mahmud locked up 2 policemen in a dog kennel because they had angered him. And he also personally beat up a hockey coach after the coach spoke out about Mahmud's son getting into a fight during a hockey match. You can't really make this stuff up. The guy was honestly a cuckoo. So there you have it. As you can see, the world of Malaysian kings is full of surprises. From their unique election system to the crazy stuff that happens to them once they actually sit on the throne. It feels like it's a Game of Thrones at times, with all this manslaughter, angry killing sprees, and promiscuous beauties. Only the dragons are missing. Guys, thanks a lot for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps our channel. And as always, stay curious. I will catch you next time. Ciao.